The Academy makes some changes to the Oscars. Omarosa's tell-all, InfoWars gets removed, what's next for Disney's Star Wars, the fall of Tesla, and in a Patreon exclusive, social network ignorance. I have a lot to complain about, so let's do this.
The recently canceled podcast with Lawn Fry.
Hey, how goes it? I think I want to start each podcast now by just kind of telling you where I'm at, what's been going on, and so far, I'm not dead yet. So I have that going for me. Hopefully you guys are doing a little better. So, some news came out as of the recording of this, today that is, that the Academy, I love it how on Twitter, they're not the Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Academy of America, none of this stuff. It's the Academy. Look how important we are. We had the in our username, right? Our handle on Twitter is the Academy. If that doesn't scream pompous, I'm not sure what does. I mean, even Donald Trump, it's not the Donald Trump, right? Isn't it like Donald Trump won? Anyways, they said they've got some changes in mind for the Oscars, coming up. Going to have the Oscars celebrating the 2018 year in film in 2019, after they've assessed what they can hype to get the most ratings, right? Because this is what this all comes down to. It's about TV ratings. They're going to have a popular film category. Oh, what is this? The MTV Movie Awards? Is that what we're doing over here? We're going for popular? Oh, you didn't think that people were tuning in because the popular movies weren't being awarded. Well, now they are. So you're basically going to have a category that's going to be the Marvel category. That's what you're going to end up with. And you're going to tune in because you like those Marvel movies. You got to see the Marvel people. You got to see them get their award, right? You want to see that go down? Well, there you go. The Academy has your back. They're also going to have a fixed runtime of 3 hours because the show is getting a little out of hand. How are they going to manage this new fixed runtime? How are they going to do this, you say, huh? They're going to have some awards given during commercial breaks. So here's how this breaks down. Oh, hey, look. You got an Oscar for making a short film? Maybe costume design? Is it going to be a minority accepting and giving their acceptance speech during an Oscar commercial break? How bad of a look is that going to be? Oh, hey, we have some black people win, but you don't get to see that. This sends a terrible message. And if anybody needs to get out, it's everybody competing to be in Hollywood's small space where original ideas go to die, where you work your ass off to be replaced by someone younger and hotter. Everybody needs to rethink what they're doing here because the Academy is saying our TV ratings are more important than honoring your work. So you get that dream of getting the Oscar. Oh, hey, I want to thank the Academy for putting me on during the commercial break. That's what these speeches need to say. This is atrocious. No one seems to like these changes. In fact, there was a guy I ran across on Twitter. I think his name's Chris Schleicher. If I'm mispronouncing that, I don't really care. He says, and this guy I think he's got the verified check mark, which means he writes for some irrelevant blog somewhere online that gets to pretend to be the media. He says, straight guys get multiple channels devoted to sports 24 hours a day, but 4 hours a year was too much for the Oscars? Let me say it again for those in the back. And he's clapping between the words here, the Oscars should take as long as the World Cup. The implication that straight guys watch sports and that sports are only for the straight guys makes it sound like the Oscars is for the gays. Now, it was a lot of gay people that were very vocal about these changes, as though the Oscars is their award show. Like, oh, hey, well, we had the Tonys, and we want the Oscars too, so yeah, that's like interest, and I guess straight people don't care about movies. Oh, but straight people like the popular films, so now we have to slam them for that reason, for having a popular film category. Forget the fact that it waters down the Oscars to the point that we're going to end up with a best fight scene, best kiss, best couple, best comedic performance. Oh, everybody gets an Oscar. You get an Oscar. You get an Oscar, right? We're going to have Oprah hosting this shit. Oh, jeez. God, have we figured out yet that this stuff doesn't matter? That you can be a fan of films, or rather, hopefully good ones, that were all made in the past, because they don't make a lot of good movies these days. You can be a cinema head. You can be an actor, an actress, a director. You can be in lighting, photography, set decoration, art directing. Like, you don't have to care about these awards. You know, if someone wants to complain about the Super Bowl, well, the Super Bowl isn't fixed. The Super Bowl doesn't say, well, we thought that Tom Brady looked like he deserved to win, so I guess he gets to win this year. You know, it was really his year. Mm-hmm. That's how meaningless these award shows are, people. And these award show affiliates, those putting them on, those making the money, cutting the deals with the stations so they get the honor and the privilege of being the host to what's typically the second most watched program of the year, behind the Super Bowl. Although ratings are down, I think, for both in many cases, particularly Oscars. I think more people are waking up and realizing the sham that is the Oscars. It's just as fake as the WWE and less entertaining. And these are people who can actually cut a promo, and it's not even entertaining. They spend 10 minutes walking up on stage so that you can have some celebrities shill for their next movie that is probably going to suck, but they're going to tell you it's good. And, oh, hey, they're in a movie together? I guess we have to see that. They're going to present an award, right? The poor host, Jimmy Kimmel, has to try his ass out to get a stand-up comedy special out there without actually being able to practice the material in front of anybody to know if it's honed or good. I mean, it's a dinosaur. It doesn't matter, and it's irrelevant. Just post some results online and let it be, or we can quit acting, pun, that the entertainment business is a sport. We don't get to have George Clooney face off against Brad Pitt to decide who's the best actor this year or any other year. Just example. Oh, but Tom Brady gets to go up against Nick Foles, and Nick Foles wins. Okay, so I guess Nick Foles won the Super Bowl MVP. And now what are we going to do? Just give the season MVP to Tom Brady to be like, oh, hey, well, the Academy recognizes this guy, even though you like that guy more. Hey, Academy. You know what happens when you go around and you make up stupid categories for a stupid award show? You know what happens?
You just got fried.
All right, thanks. I kind of like that idea. So that was actually suggested that I start using that on Twitter, so we'll see how that goes if anybody's even paying attention. In other news, we have Omarosa Stalwart Manigault. What? Everybody just calls her Omarosa. It's, you're not doing too bad in life if you get to do the Madonna Prince thing. There's this gal, Cheryl Tweedy, Cheryl Cole. She got divorced, so she changed her name. And then eventually she just goes, just call me Cheryl. That's a little too generic, isn't it? But Omarosa, I mean, come on. Now we know who we're talking about here. Former Trump aide and lackey of the Donald from season 1 of Apprentice has found a way to cling on. She was a I've misheard reports saying that she was the foremost appointed African American. I'm pretty sure that that doctor guy, with the what is it, HUD or something, the Housing Urban Development stuff. Yeah, isn't he like a cabinet minister? Anyway, so she has a tell-all book. She's got herself a little book deal. It doesn't appear to have any actual fact-checking, but these publishers, they want to do something to make some money now. Not a lot of people buying stuff in print. You want to download it on your Kindle? Well, they've got something for you to download, don't they? So she has this tell-all coming, and in it, it said that she overheard someone say that someone else had heard Donald Trump use the N-word. Oh, shock and terror! What are we going to do, guys? What has the world come to? She might have heard somebody, and here's the thing, the guy who is said to have overheard it initially says that he wasn't there to hear it, that she's making stuff up. Now look, she wants to extend her 15 minutes, and it's been extended to the point so long that, as I said, we know who Omarosa is. She actually gets this job because I feel like Donald Trump wanted somebody that he created on his team. So Omarosa's a nobody, gets on The Apprentice, gets this villain thing going for her. And Donald Trump's like, you know what? I made her a star. I started trying to do a little Trump impression there, then I backed out of it. I'm sorry, guys. He's thinking, look, I made her a star, so I want to show what kind of gravitas I have, a little measure of the balls. Look how cool I am. I can bring people into stardom and then keep them with me, because if I can keep her kind of famous, it looks good for me. But the truth is, she's always been a bit of a leech. It's said that she turned down a payoff of $15,000 a month to keep her mouth shut. So what kind of dirt does she actually have at which someone wants to pay her that much? And also, in her situation, wouldn't it be advised that she take that? Who really wants to hire this lady? I don't think that she has immense money coming in other than this book, right? That's why she's doing it, right? I thought Donald Trump had people sign non-disclosure agreements within his perimeter at the White House. Wasn't there a news story about this? And wouldn't she be violating that? And then the most damaging thing this could really do, it just raises questions about Trump's character. Hey, here's the president. Look who he's willing to hire. If he can make such bad hires so frequently that he's got this revolving door at the White House, it really makes you question his judgment, doesn't it? So he's either a guy who can't decide who to hire, even though his show called The Apprentice is about firing certain people and hiring others. And it shows you that maybe he's not the best at these decisions. You don't need a president who's not the best at decisions. Decisions is what the president does. He makes the decisions. That's almost an Obama impression. I'm not saying that Obama even made good decisions. I can't think of any good decisions he made. There might be one or two out there over the course of 8 years. But already we have things coming apart at the seams at the White House. And a lot of it looks like it's Trump's doing by surrounding himself with the wrong people. Now, in recent months, things have become more stable. Maybe he finally found that mole. He found the snitch who got the stitches, right? Was it Omarosa? Does she actually have recordings of this stuff as she says she does? I believe she will keep saying she has the recordings, and we might hear a truncated snippet come time of the release. Maybe. You got to try to get that first weekend window, right? Get on that bestseller list, try to get number one on Amazon, all that stuff. You want to try to get all that hype going right away? It's probably the best she can do. Earlier this week, we had a situation arise where it was really weird. I'm not sure who did it first, but it might have been Facebook, it might have been iTunes. They just all of a sudden said, look, we're not going to have Alex Jones on our networks. And the way they went about this was very collusion-esque. The dominoes fell, but no one wanted to be the first domino. So it's like, hey, iTunes yanks the InfoWars stuff. I think they might have kept a couple podcasts from up, but or it was Spotify who did. They yank him. Facebook says he's banned. Then I see a YouTube video go out as one of his reporters is talking about this going down, like from his hotel room. He's kind of doing a little stream from his phone. Next thing I know, you can't watch that video anymore. He got yanked off YouTube. The weird part about being yanked off YouTube is that they were mad that he was making videos on other channels, as though Alex Jones personally was not allowed to appear in more YouTube videos during a suspension. When have you heard of that? I've heard of suspend the channel, but not suspend the talent. While we're at it, I can think of a lot of YouTubers whom I would like to see never be allowed to appear in a new video. Okay, Logan Paul, how about that one? You know, if Alex Jones can have this applied to him, can we get these Paul kids off, please? So what did Alex Jones do to warrant all of this? That's a good question that can't be answered. Supposedly, all these social networks have this term of use saying that there is to be no hate speech. How do you define hate speech? At what point in InfoWars coverage or Alex Jones rambling was there hate speech? He said a lot of things that made him out to be a terrible person. There was a lot of conspiracy theories. Last I checked, one was allowed to share conspiracy theories. I don't think there's a law against being a conspiracy theorist. Now, if they're going after conspiracy theorists, there's a conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories, which makes them sound a little less nuts. At last I checked, he wasn't banned from Twitter. Twitter put out a statement saying that they found no bannable offense. But how did this stuff come about? Well, now we have these watchdog groups here, right? Yeah, I said watchdog like lockjaw. Deal with it. Their whole plan, anti-fascists, looking out for everybody, making the world a hate speech free area and getting rid of conservative right-wing trolls. It seems to be the modus operandi of some of these. It's a little weird to me to think that one side can simply cry enough to get a company to silence somebody else's voice. Now, last I checked, if you had an iPhone X, you were not, by mandatory law, required to listen to InfoWars. A lot of people say things you don't like in the world. You don't have to hear it. You can selectively dodge much of this. Does that mean that their voice should be quieted? I don't think this is right. Yes, I have to first say Alex Jones strikes me as a bad guy. He has some conspiracy theories that I would not quite call harmful, but people have overreacted to. There's some lady says she's had to move her family 7 times because the harassment she's getting about her child not being killed at Sandy Hook because it was a false flag operation with what were they called? Crisis actors. Those kids pretending that this stuff happened, that it was a drill. You know, if you have a news organization, let this be a lesson to you. Investigate, get on the scene, uncover actual stuff. Don't sit about and mill over conspiracy theories. It's not a good look for you. And in the long run, you're going to trigger more people who can't deal with it, because the world has gone so soft that now we have these situations where it's like, I don't like what this guy says. Let's get together and try to get them banned from platform of my choice, you know? People confuse free speech. And if you go by the letter of the law as current in America, Alex Jones is still free to talk on the street to random passerbys about his conspiracies. No one is actually stopping him from doing this. That very well could be the next step. And getting kicked off Facebook, Alex, you are 8 years behind the trend. I got kicked off in 2010. You know what got kicked me off there? They said their supposed official statement was that I can't add friends who I don't know in real life. First of all, Mark Zuckerberg, who are you to say who I know in real life? And how can I get kicked off for adding people when it had been well over a month since I had so much sent a friend request? Oh, but you don't want to explain this because it's a, all-encompassing ban, no appeal. And then what do you know? Shortly thereafter, there's no longer this 4,000 friends limit and people get followers. Just as they did on Twitter. I wonder where you got that idea. And that's something, now that we can get rid of Vaughn, we can go use this platform the way Vaughn thought it should have been used. Now that's great. So Alex Jones is still able to put some kind of media out there. He doesn't have these network platforms. Had you ever really thought about iTunes as a social network? I hadn't really so much until now. I guess you could go to his Infowars.com and they have to find some way of hosting, but trolls can get him kicked off of that. Hey, we found that you're using host. I guess he has to host this stuff himself in some way. Oh, boy. I wonder who's next. The skeptic community on YouTube, are they the next shoe to fall, right? Because it's going to be easy to say, oh, look, these guys are practicing hate speech because they represent a different view than me, so, I need to rally all my troops and have them shut up. No, I don't. I'm not forced to watch their videos on YouTube, but I just think that no one else should be allowed to, so that's a possibility. If this channel blew up, there ain't no way this channel could get 100,000 subscribers and not be closed. Because what I say is too controversial. It's so controversial, in fact, I have to leave some of it for Patreon. So if you want to hear the full podcast, say you're listening to this in an Uber, whatever, go over to patreon.com/Von Fry. $1 a month gets you full access to the recently canceled podcast. Moving on. I'm wondering what's next for Star Wars. We got this news that came out saying that with Solo, they have canceled all plans for these spin-off films, as though they are deciding to ratchet back the new Star Wars per year movie quota. I believe they've said they are bringing back Clone Wars. And that strikes me as a move to put back in canon some of the legends. What if they say, hey, some of these legends are true? What if some of this goes down? They pick and choose from the Star Wars Expanded Universe, aka since renamed, rebadged Legends. Say some of that stuff happened. I guess people like Clone Wars, so they figure, look, we can fall into the good graces of the fans with this, right? We have to see out the REA Trilogy. I'm assuming the idea here is trilogy. We get her third movie, and then we don't have to deal with Rey anymore. Thank goodness. We have a Rian Johnson trilogy. which at this point, I think is going to be turned into an Old Republic story. We take place, maybe 1,000 years before the events of Star Wars. We have a story with the Jedi Knights of old, maybe a pre-Yoda situation, or maybe a young Yoda movie. I think this is a possibility here. I think that they want to backtrack a great deal and give you a different look for Star Wars. Try to distance itself from anything familiar so that you are complaining less and maybe surprised more. And when there is a shocking surprise, say a character gets killed off in the second movie, it's not a beloved character that's going to cause fans to riot. I think that this would be the ideal situation for them, opposed to the full-on reboot. Which, if they're looking to do the reboot, they may as well go ahead and burn down this episode 9 coming. They should just make it as bad as they can and do as I believe Sony had done with Spider-Man 3. They said, look, we're not going to do a fourth. We're putting a lot of money into the third. We're going to have shrinking returns. Let's just put it out there, make it not good, and then have that set up fans to call for a reboot. So that when we reboot it, that's embraced. Granted, Amazing Spider-Man didn't really pan out. Okay, I gotcha. But you had this sense of, oh man, well at least they're not continuing on with that crap Venom killing off. There's nowhere else to go with Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. I'm glad that they're restarting. I felt like that was the first movie to try to usher in a fan appeal for a reboot. If they make episode 9 bad enough, you'll have so many Star Wars fans, the older guard that is, demanding a reboot that when they get the reboot, they're going to be so happy, they're going to just throw their money at it. They're going to be like, look, I know this totally disregards Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and all this good stuff we like, but at least it ain't Rey. At least we get to live in a world now where Han Solo didn't get killed. That's going to be a possibility here. We could be looking at a scrapping of Star Wars canon sooner than most had anticipated. Lastly here, as the free podcast goes, I want to talk about the fall of Tesla. What kind of weird stuff have they gotten into here? We have Elon Musk making some outlandish statements on Twitter, almost like he's the non-politician Donald Trump. Is he going to be asking for people's birth certificates soon, even though he's not American? Does he use social network as his platform to try to hit on various gals? Wasn't he trying to get with Amber Heard because he thought, hey, it would be kind of cool to get Johnny Depp's ex? Isn't he with Grimes now? Canadian Europop thinks she's a what's that kind of girl? Kirajuki girl, right, from Tokyo. You remember like 10 years back, the sort that followed around Gwen Stefani in all of her videos. You know what I'm talking? Harajuki, is that what it was? Oh, I could be saying something so very wrong right now, but it's another language, so I'll get by with it, right? I think that he'd put out some statement that had an effect on Tesla stock a few weeks back. He made some joke, like an April Fool's Day type thing. It had an effect, and now he's going around saying he's considering buying back the company with shares valued at, was it $420 a piece? He would need like $50 billion to buy back shares so he could take the company private, at which point its value is $82 billion. This is bizarre because it signals to me, no, this is weird because making such a statement had a big effect on stock and it drove stock prices up. Now, isn't it weird and borderline Federal Trade Commission type scandalous and scrupulous violating to put out tweets that will have such an effect on stock? Like, he knows, oh, hey, I'll say this, and then boom, we can get prices changed. Yeah, I need to make a few billion today. There we go. Why would he take the company private when it being public is where all the money and wild conjecture comes from? Is it possible that shareholders were beginning to question whether or not the company could stay afloat? I think this is a possibility. The media, he'd been very critical of late. The media has seen him as less of a darling, have been questioning how come your products are not coming out when you say they will, and how come you are greatly behind production. Your goals are not being met, and yet your stock goes up, valuing your little eco startup made with Uncle Sam's cash company at something higher than a stalwart such as GM, which actually makes the cars it says it's going to make, and a lot of them. I'm not saying its cars are better. Tesla appears to make a good product when it actually comes to market. It has an incredible initial value rating, loyalty, all this. You get into the Tesla ecosystem. You get to feel like you're such a person. You're better than everybody else. You drive a Tesla. Yeah, so I'm like really environmentally conscious. So, oh yeah, my dad also has money. He's a banker, so I drive like the Model S, P100. Yeah, dual engine and 0 to 60 in 2.8. Ludicrous speed. These are the types of things people feel when they get a Tesla, and you don't get that kind of sense of accomplishment from getting the base model Chevy, or soon to be have to get a base model small crossover from Ford because they're getting out of the car business. Tesla's actually making cars that people want. And yeah, that makes for a bad look for the competition. But you know what? The competition is not dealing with a whole lot of theoretical, hey, let's throw out this Roadster over here no one can afford, realistically. Oh, it may or may not be coming. I mean, we're kind of showing it here, but it's going to be a few years off. Oh, hey, don't mind the fact that we can't make anything close to our production goals. Here's a new toy over here. It's a semi-truck. Are you guys interested in still buying the stock? Cool. It's as though these things are coming out just to get people to buy the stock. And the media is beginning to point this out more and more. So, if Mr. Musk takes the company private, he no longer really has to talk about these goals that aren't being met, does he? He can just show off a new product whenever he wants, and I think it'll happen less frequently because there'll be less reason to do so. Yeah, that's quite the possibility. You get your stock to go public so that you can get this massive IPO, you get the price up, you get everybody's expectations going, then you can buy it back, maybe save some face, save the company from total bankruptcy. Ain't that a trick? So that does it for this week's episode of the Recently Canceled podcast. Like I said earlier, hit me up on patreon.com/Von Fry. $1 a month gets you full access. And you know what? I'm sending out them cards, them little greeting card, mini posters with a little personalized message, all that stuff. You want one of those? $5. Just send me your address, nothing too creepy, and I'll see what I can do for you.